Power Breakfast. Top talk of the morning.
The time now is 7:16. You're in Power Breakfast with Tessa Dooms this morning. And if you've been listening to the news from any corner, you know that the Free State High Court has granted the NPA a 32 million rand preservation order targeting assets linked to individuals implicated in the sprawling asbestos corruption case and money laundering scheme. As we know, there are quite a few politically exposed people, as they are called in the banking system now, who are in this part of this story for the last few years, but it seems that the story is starting to get some traction. And so we have with us this morning the NPA spokesperson, advocate Mthunzi Mhaga, to talk to us about this particular case and what the next steps are. Advocate, thank you so much for joining us this morning. The NPA is now really in the thick of things when it comes to this asbestos case. What are the latest advancements?
Good morning and good morning to your listeners. Importantly is the fact that we are actually on course in ensuring that we are resolute in unleashing our broader anti-corruption strategy of ensuring that whoever benefited financially from the state capture, we take away the financial incentive. And therefore, we're hitting them where it matters most, which means in the pocket. But I need to make it clear, though, that this preservation order relates to a Chapter 6 of the POCA Act, which ensures that you do not necessarily need to be convicted in order for us to seize your assets.
And so, the NPA is going to be working on, from this order onwards, to start going after particular people who are linked to this. Is there a sense of who these people are? We know that people like Ace Magashula is definitely part of the court proceedings around this. Edwin Sodi has been part of these proceedings legally as well. Do you know who is on the list for the NPA?
The preservation order granted on 13 March 2025 only is in respect of the late Mr. Mbambane, his wife, Mr. Khadebe, and his siblings, together with entities in respect of which they are directors. It is not in any way linked to Mr. Magashula and Edwin Sodi. But Edwin Sodi had been part of an earlier restraint order, which was granted in 2020. That one is in respect of a Chapter 5 of the POCA Act, which is dependent on a conviction. That means we cannot finally forfeit or confiscate the assets until such time that the court finds them guilty.
So what is the difference between those two orders, that 300 million order against Sodi and now this order? Why is the one dependent on conviction, but this new one is not dependent on conviction?
The criminal prosecutorial strategy that is adopted by the NPA is two-pronged in that one, it focuses on prosecution and the other focuses on recovery of the assets which we believe are proceeds of crime. In respect of the one of Mr. Sodi and others 2020 order, it is a restraint order that says you are not to touch or dispose of the property until such time that the criminal prosecution is finalized, after which it will be forfeited to the state. But in respect of the ones that relate to the assets of Mr. Mbambane, Khadebe, and the entities, we have proved to the court on a balance of probabilities, which is a lower test, that these were proceeds of crime. We do not have to wait until they are either convicted or acquitted. That is the difference.
And when does that process take place? When does that proof to the court take place? What process was followed to do that? And why can't that process be followed with an Edwin Sodi?
This one, as I indicated, is not dependent on a conviction. We went to court on 13 March and we were granted the order. They have 14 days within which to challenge the order. If they don't, within 90 days, we have to go back to court and confirm the order, sell the property in an auction. Any amount realized from the auction will be deposited to a Kara account.
So one of the people who you will be seizing assets from. I think it's Mr. Mpambani.
Mpambani, his wife, his siblings, and their entities.
So one of them is deceased. Does this mean that you're going after their estate?
Oh yes.
Okay. Does that have any impact on how that process might go? Estates are generally harder to access than just going after somebody's bank account, for example.
I don't understand the question. Can you come again?
So I'm saying, will that have any bearing on the kind of process and the timing? Estates are generally not as easy to access as just going for somebody's assets and bank account in real time.
Now we've overcome that hurdle. That's why the order was granted.
Okay, so
it's not a problem at all. Whether you're deceased or not, there are assets that are left behind in your name.
All right. Now, I mean, this does seem like a major step forward, because one of the things that when it comes to issues around corruption and crime is whether or not we get recovery and not just convictions. But this case is continuing. Does the NPA feel that it is on a good footing with the criminal cases that are still linked to this asbestos trial?
So far, things are shaping up well for the prosecution, although it's too early on because the proceedings are still at its infancy, given the fact that it's just a preliminary proceedings that are underway in respect of a special plea for lack of jurisdiction that was raised by Ms. Cholota. Once those proceedings are completed, we will get into the main trial where we lead our first witness in order to prove and sustain the charges that have been preferred against them.
Yeah, it's taken quite a few years to even get to this point. I think the people of the Free State are waiting on tenterhooks to see justice take its full course here. So we're hoping that this process will speed up, particularly in the criminal case, but happy to see that there is some movement on the seizing of assets here. I thank you so much that the NPA spokesperson, Advocate Mthunzi Mhaga, talking us through a new order that allows for us to recover some money that were the proceeds of corruption against us as the taxpayers.